about Dad, and thank you all for coming. It means so much to me, and I know it would mean so much to Dad to have you guys here. I have to refer to my notes. You know, Dad passed November 6th of last year after a long illness with COPD and throat cancer. I'm really thankful that he passed in his sleep. He had a really calm, peaceful passing. And I'm also thankful to be able to have this memorial for him in his beloved hometown in New Orleans. I know he missed it a lot, but he did have some adventures afterwards too. But Ronnie grew up on Frenchman Street, an only child, and he was taught the piano at a very, very young age. He started playing piano in the French Quarter as well as on Bourbon Street. I think he was probably 16 years old when he got his first paying gig. But he comes from a long line of musicians. His great-grandfather Joseph came over from Bordeaux, France, to play the violin at the old French Opera House, where I assume he played until it burned in, I forget exactly, 1911. I'm not really sure when it burned. His uncle Arthur also played. Artie Seelig played. I've got, you know, oodles of pictures of all of them playing together. Dad loved photos. Oh my gosh, he had oodles and oodles, and he shared them with whoever wanted some, and he was just great that way. He really enjoyed taking pictures. We were lucky enough to have him take home movies of us when we were little. I don't think anybody really had video cameras much at that time, but he was traveling. I think he was 18 or 19, so he got a video camera and he took pictures of all the places that he went. He toured with Al, went to Berlin. Later he went to Korea and Singapore with the Camellia Jazz Band. But Dad, that wasn't all that Dad was. He was my dad. He was a great dad. He stayed at home with us during the day. I wrote a little letter to him. I think it was about 15 years ago. He was feeling a little bit down. So I decided to write him a little letter while I was thankful for him being my dad. He did things like, you know, he made up little fun games for us while he was home during the day. And we'd run through the hall and go through the opening between the living room and the hall and slide our little feet with our socks on the wood floor, and he'd throw little balls of paper at us, and he called it Ducky Lucky, you know. And it was like an arcade game, you know, where you shoot the little ducks. So he was always making up fun games like that. He would hide quarters and pennies and nickels because some days it was his job to clean the house, but he figured if we were looking for money, he told us we'd have to sweep or clean that. It didn't work that well, but we did get a lot of money out of it. But I asked Dad one time, you know, it coming from all these musicians, this long line of musicians, why didn't he ever teach me piano? And he said, well, I really didn't want you hanging out in smoky bars. I was like, oops, you know. I did that anyway, sorry Dad. He said, oh well, best laid plans. But Dad had a soft spot for people who were struggling. He could befriend anybody. It didn't matter who you were. We're young, old, you know, rich, poor. He would be your friend, and especially if you could banter with him. He loved that a lot. But Dad had a soft spot for people struggling in life. And while he was raised Catholic, he wasn't really religious per se, but he was very spiritual. I know that. I know that one time when he was having some hard times, he called Father Frank Coco, and Father Frank invited him on this retreat, and it was a monastery where he couldn't speak at all or whatever. And that really kind of got him straight. It got him turned around. So I know that tells me a lot about him being a kind of a spiritual guy. But he would do things for people. For example, I have no idea how he met this guy, but there was this particular man who was quite obese and he needed a lot of help. So Dad would pick him up, get him in the car, hurt his back, hurt his knee, whatever, getting him to his appointment. I knew him to pay rent for people who were struggling. I knew him just to, you know, to give money for people, or I don't know, he was just always trying to think of other people and do good. And I really admired him for that. And but you know, I think that if he thought that you were taking advantage of him, or all of a sudden he thought you were being disingenuous, he had no problem cutting you off. He was just like, he was that way. But I knew him to pay rent with absolutely no idea of ever getting the money back. That was fine. But one time, he was in front of a hotel, and the Alvaletto there. And
No, that was the bistro.
oh yeah, Al, you're in there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But Harry Connick Jr. came up and he's like, "Oh, Ronnie, I'm late for a gig. I'm at the wrong hotel. I don't have time to go get my car." Blah blah blah. So Dad gave him $10. Harry's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll pay you back, no problem." We never got that money, so if y'all know Harry, he owes me $10. But he sometimes regretted the good things he did, and he never could really let go of his past hurts, and I think that was a detriment to him. But I do know there at the end, he began to forgive people who I never thought he would forgive, like my mom. He held a grudge on her a long time. But I know he started to forgive, and I know that was giving him some peace towards the end. But I think Dad was really ready to go. So that's why this is a celebration. He's free of pain, he's free of his burdens, and I know he's in heaven. I'm not sticking to my notes at all, by the way. Let's see. Oh, and I'm so glad for the time that we spent together in Santa Fe. He came to live with me for a few months, and it was kind of a mutually beneficial arrangement. But I guess he was bored. I came home one day, and he had his little BB gun out, and he shot all my little tiki lights out. I'm like, what happened here? He's like, I don't know. I was bored. I'm like, fine. Whatever, you were bored. But he did a lot of things in the name of boredom. He was never organized. He never really had an office job or whatever. So, come on in. So he would just find things to do, but he was never really organized. He would never put his keys in the same place, I was like, Dad, just put everything in the same place. You'll be able to find it. No, that wouldn't do. He would put like hologram tape on he had a gun, he carried all the time, on the gun, on his wallet, on the side of his sunglasses so we could find it better. One time he stuck Velcro to the wall, and he put Velcro on his wallet and just stuck it to the wall. I came over to visit, I'm like, what is this? And he goes, oh, I can find it this way. But then he never remembered to stick it on the wall, so there's that. Hi, come on in.
Sit here, that's fine.
No, you can come on in and have a seat back there. It's fine. Welcome.
Thank you for
Hi.
having us.
Thank you for coming. Hi. Good to meet you. Nice to meet you. We're all just kind of saying a few things about Dad if you feel like it, but I don't know if y'all know or not, but I did this Facebook post. This was supposed to be a brunch from like 9 to noon. And for some reason it kept changing. Like it would change an hour ahead and I would change it back, and then it would change an hour ahead and I'd change it back. And I thought it had something to do with, the time change between Santa Fe and here. I wasn't really sure. But I came home one day. I was really pulling my hair out. I was cursing. I was saying all the time, why doesn't this work for me? And then suddenly it changed to 12 to 3. And I'm like, all right, I'll just take a hint. It's 12 to 3, and you know what? It worked out better because I'm a musician. Y'all don't like getting up too early. So I was like, all right, Dad, whatever. I said, but don't you dare change it again. I came home then like 3 days later. It changed to 1 to 4. I'm like, no, this is it. No way. I changed it back to 12 to 3, and it stayed like that from then on. So, yeah, I don't know. But Dad was complicated. I loved him unconditionally. I went and got all of his things from Dauphine Street, and I found that little letter that I told him about. He'd been carrying that around for 15 years in his wallet, so I know that he appreciated that. But I really, really appreciate everybody coming. I know he would have loved it a lot, and it's so great to see you all, and I hope you can share some stories of your own. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.